Good evening, and welcome to our 15th annual Hall of Fame ceremony. I am Suzanne Woodman, Assistant Principal and Music Teacher at Port Richmond High School, and I am honored to be amongst our distinguished honorees and guests. This is always a special occasion, and I am so proud to be a part of this tonight. Let us begin with the presentation of the colors, the Pledge of Allegiance, and our national anthem. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. We will now hear from our principal, Mr. Andrew Greenfield, class of 1988.
No matter how big I make the print, I still need to wear my glasses. Good evening, and welcome to the 15th annual Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame ceremony. Once again, I am honored and privileged to be celebrating 5 more outstanding inductees into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame. 36 years ago, 36 years ago, I graduated Port Richmond High School. 22 years ago, I came back to work here as an assistant principal, and for the last 6 years, I have had the honor and privilege to serve as Port Richmond's only appointed principal that graduated from our great school. Although I've spent half my life walking the halls of Port Richmond, it wasn't until 15 years ago that I began to realize just how amazing our alumni truly are. When former Principal Tim Gannon first suggested the idea of a Hall of Fame, I thought, it's a great idea, but would we ever find enough qualified candidates to induct each year? Now, 15 years later, and 81 inductees later, I am awestruck at the impressive achievements of the 76 people that have already been inducted and the 5 more that are being inducted this evening. Who would have thought this small school hidden under the shadow of the Bayonne Bridge would produce 2 city council members, countless educational leaders, physicians, judges, lawyers, prosecutors, military officers, federal agents, rock musicians, entertainment moguls, world-renowned performers in music, dance, theater, television, and movies, professional athletes, Olympic athletes, community leaders, business entrepreneurs, philanthropists, Pulitzer Prize-winning authors, and 2 dedicated police officers who gave their lives serving the citizens of the city of New York. Before us this evening are 5 more amazing individuals whose backgrounds and stories will move and inspire you. Tonight you will hear about a retired lieutenant colonel being recognized not for his military service, but for his public service. A former educator, mentor, and coach that I had the privilege of knowing when I was a student in IS 72. A true rags to riches businessman and entrepreneur that shows us that anyone can make it if you're willing to work hard and never give up. A Mariners Harbor kid that became a lawyer, a judge, a community activist, and last but certainly not least, a former student athlete that went on to become a physician and generous community leader. Tonight we will also be honoring a few current staff members who have achieved the milestone of working at Port Richmond High School for 20 years. It is fitting that during National Teacher Appreciation Week, we get to celebrate staff members who have dedicated their careers to improving the lives of their students, and we thank them. I always tell people that of all the ceremonies Port Richmond holds throughout the school year, this is one of my favorites because I go home glowing and proud to be a graduate of our amazing school. Before I go, I just want to recognize the hard work of a few key people that helped to make this day possible. First, I'd like to thank our amazing Alumni Association for their generosity and cooperation in making today happen. Thank you to former Alumni President John Jankowski, who along with former Principal Gannon, came up with the idea of starting the Hall of Fame. Thank you to Councilmember Hanks for joining us today, but more important, thank you for everything you do for the North Shore of Staten Island. I live and work on the North Shore of Staten Island, and you are always there whenever your community needs you. Thank you to my remarkable administrative assistant, Shannon Claudio, for helping organize this entire event. Her constant communication with our inductees and honored guests, and most important of all, Shannon's ability to focus and manage me is quite a feat, so I thank her. To my amazing assistant principals for all their work behind the scenes over the last few weeks to ensure today runs smoothly, I thank you. Thank you to our coordinator of student activities and fellow Port Richmond alum, Mr. Vincent Meduno, for his tireless dedication to our school and for the work he and his TV media students did in putting together the video tributes that you're going to see today. Thank you to our talented cheerleaders, musicians, and performers that you saw and heard today, and thank you to our amazing award-winning culinary arts students and staff who are going to blow your socks off at the conclusion of this ceremony, so make sure you stick around. Lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention two outstanding Port Richmond alum that we lost last month. I'd like to take a moment to recognize retired principal, coach, and our alumni board president, John Woodman, and Dr. Ann Merlino, College of Staten Island Dean, community volunteer, and Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame inductee. I thank them both for epitomizing everything that is great about Port Richmond High School and the legacy our graduates leave behind. Congratulations tonight to our inductees, and once again, I am humbled to be in your presence and proud to share this distinction of being a fellow Port Richmond graduate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greenfield. Our guest speaker of the evening will be Councilmember Camilla Hanks. Please turn your attention to the screen behind me for Councilmember Hanks' introduction by our Media Arts Department.
Camilla Hanks is a native Staten Islander and proud mother of four who has been a leader and advocate for smart growth and positive economic development in the North Shore of Staten Island for nearly 2 decades. Camilla studied marketing and finance at the College of Staten Island and has over 20 years of experience in both public and private sectors. In 2012, Camilla founded the historic Tappan Park Community Partnership, where she works with civic leaders, community groups, and local schools to boost cultural and economic development in Stapleton and surrounding neighborhoods. Camilla is particularly proud of pioneering Staten Island's first Youth Build program, which provides a pathway for out-of-school, out-of-work young adults with advanced vocational education, leadership development, job training, and valuable life skills. In 2018, Youth Build Staten Island was one of 2 organizations to receive $1.1 million for the United States Department of Labor. During the onset of the global pandemic, Ms. Hanks partnered with local small business owners and students from her Youth Build initiative and created a training program that manufactured over 5,000 face shields that were donated to firefighters, first responders, and medical professionals on Staten Island and the greater New York City area. In August 2020, Camilla founded the Minority Women in Business Association of Staten Island to address inequities and disparities in women of color in business. For her efforts during the pandemic, Camilla Hanks was awarded with the prestigious honor of being named a 2020 Woman of Achievement by the Staten Island Advance and is also among the slate of honorees for the Young, Gifted, and Black Entrepreneurial Awards in February of 2021. Camilla's other accomplishments also include serving on the New York City Council Redistricting Commission, the interim president of the Van Duzer Civic Association in Stapleton, and was the former executive director of the Downtown Staten Island Council. Ms. Hanks also worked as a public relations consultant at the Staten Island Museum and the Staten Island Economic Development Corp. In In 2014, Miss Hanks was appointed by Staten Island Borough President James Otto to the New York City Panel for Education Policy and served as the Staten Island representative until 2016. She was the National Council of Negro Women honoree in 2009, as well as an SIEDC 20 Under 40 Leadership Award winner. She is also an alumna of Coro Neighborhood Leadership Program NYC and was New York State Senator Diane J. Savino's 2015 New York State Woman of Distinction honoree. In 2001, Camila Hanks worked with producers and starred in a Staten Island documentary short film, Fairy Tales, which was nominated for an Academy Award in 2004. Councilwoman Hanks enjoys celebrating all the many accomplishments of her fellow Staten Islanders, especially those being honored here this evening. And most recently, we thank her for being part of a special ceremony naming our corner of St. Joseph's and Innis Lisa Polari Way. We are proud and honored to welcome her here to the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame induction ceremony this evening.
Wow. While I was watching that, first of all, good evening. I said, I'm going to need a copy of that so I can play that every time I'm supposed to do a keynote speech. But thank you so much, Principal Greenfield. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. So good evening, everyone. Good evening. So I'm deeply, deeply honored to join with all of you tonight on this occasion as we celebrate the induction of 5 outstanding individuals into the Port Richmond Hall of Fame. Each of these honorees exemplifies the spirit and dedication and perseverance that Port Richmond High School instills in its students. These honorees have such remarkable accomplishments, so please allow me a few moments to mention some of their accolades. Lieutenant Colonel Henry Hoglander of class of 1951. He embodies a lifetime of service for his remarkable career in the United States Air Force and to his leadership to the National Mediation Board. His unwavering commitment to the aviation industry and his country earns him a right place in the Port Richmond Hall of Fame. Arnold E. Raffone, class of 1960. He has dedicated his life to education and mentorship, co-founding the United Activities Unlimited program that continues to support young people in the community to find their path. His legacy continues to inspire and uplift students and educators alike. Anthony Fanticola, class of 1961. His philanthropic spirit and unwavering dedication to his family and community have made him a role model for the future generations. Judge Ronald A. Gregg, class of 1969. He spent his career advocating for justice and equality and serving as Assistant General Counsel for the NAACP and later as judge in the New York State Division of Human Rights. His lifelong commitment to public service and the law stands as a beacon of hope and leadership. Dr. Henry Habib of 1978 made his mark in medicine, community service, and championing Arab American heritage and health initiatives while in his field as chairman of podiatry and Vantage Care Physicians. All of those folks, all of these incredible people have a right to be here. I am a council member, but former council member Debbie Rose, also Hall of Fame and former student and graduate of Port Richmond High School, Steve Matteo. The only thing that I was perfectly slated and excited after being at IS 61 to go to Port Richmond High School like my brothers and sisters. But I ended up going to LaGuardia Music and Art. But this high school has always been a beacon, and the folks who graduate from this school continue their life's work, and it is a subtotal of everything that they learned here, and they continue to do great things above and beyond. So I'm so excited to be able to speak here today to honor this Hall of Fame, and it is appropriate to have a Hall of Fame in this high school. I wish other high schools did it. So on behalf of the New York City Council, it is my honor to present this proclamation to the Port Richmond Hall of Fame in the name of these remarkable individuals who not only have brought pride to Port Richmond High School, but also have made it an invaluable contributions to their communities. Thank you to Principal Andrew Greenfield and his staff for allowing me the opportunity to participate in this incredible event. Congratulations to the inductees and their families. And I thank you for embodying the best of what it means to be a Raider.
And we couldn't let you go, Councilmember Hanks, without giving you a little token of our appreciation. And this plaque reads, Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame proudly acknowledges and thanks Councilwoman Camilla Hanks for celebrating our special evening with us as guest speaker, 15th Annual Hall of Fame Induction Ceremony, May 9th, 2024, Raider Pride. Thank you. I'll take this.
Thank you so much. We should have a Hall of Fame for that.
Thank you, Councilmember Hanks. At this time, we'd like to begin the induction ceremony. Our first inductee of the evening will be Lieutenant Colonel Harry Hoglander, escorted to the stage by TC Cadet Naya Daniel.
While attending Port Richmond High School, Mr. Hoglander played JV basketball under the direction of the legendary Lou Trella. He worked as a stock boy after school at a place called Kresge's, which is now known as Walmart. Most students that attend Port Richmond work there as their first job as well.
After completing 4 years in the United States Air Force, he would soon attend Wagner College. While serving in the United States Air Force as well as the Air Massachusetts National Guard, he would soon rank up to Lieutenant Colonel and would be spending 30 years in TWA flying planes. Not only that, he was also a fighter pilot for the Air National Guard in Massachusetts. Afterwards, he would be flying for TWA and would be rated to fly Boeing 707s, 727s, and 747s. After spending 30 years in the United States Air Force as well as the Massachusetts Air National Guard, he would be ranked to Lieutenant Colonel, and afterwards would retire in 1986.
He became an executive vice president of the Airlines Pilots Association as well as a master chairman of TWA's Executive Council. Additionally, he attended Suffolk University Law School, earning his law degree and passing the bar in 1971. Captain Hoglander is married to his loving wife Judith. They have 6 children, 12 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. In his retirement, he continues to serve his community on the Gloucester Stage Board and the Community Preservation Committee in Massachusetts.
In the late 1990s, Captain Hoglander worked on the campaign of U.S. House of Representatives member John F. Tierney of Massachusetts. Captain Hoglander served as a legislative specialist in the office of Mr. Tierney, dealing with transportation issues in a variety of areas, including aviation, water, and train transportation, as well as labor, defense, and veteran affairs. Senator Ted Kennedy was instrumental in pursuing the nomination of Captain Hoglander to the National Mediation Board. This is a presidential nomination requiring U.S. Senate confirmation. Captain Hoglander was nominated to the board by former President Bush.
In recognition of his extensive work in the aviation and serving our country, Lieutenant Colonel Harry Hoglander has been honored as an inductee in the Port Richmond Hall of Fame.
Class of 51, that was, my Lord, 73 years ago. Most people don't live that long, so I'm quite honored and certainly humbled to be here tonight. When I walked into the school tonight, things seemed to have changed a bit, but not those hard seats what I sat in study hall for many hours here. Let me just tell you that I'll try to be brief. My father was a grammar school graduate. He only had 8 years of schooling, and my mother had 1 year more than that. She went to secretarial school after she completed her grammar school. And even though they recognized right away that the only path for me to open doors and find that road to having a better life was education. And I urge you to continue with your education, whether you're going to be educated as an electrician or on to your undergraduate, graduate, or even a doctorate degree. Continue that education because it'll open every door that never was open to other people before. Let me just conclude by saying I wasn't a high school jock when I was here. I played junior varsity basketball in between my stints as a stock boy at Kresge's, which is now Walmart's, I guess. And in any case, I was coached by and mentored by the legendary Lou Trella. And Lou Trella left me with a saying that I never forgot in my whole life, and that was never give up. Even if you're losing that game, you never gave up. And I think that what you must go forward with is, even if there's some drawbacks or setbacks, never give up. And I'll leave you with, go get that education and never give up. And thank you again to everybody who wanted me here.
Our next inductee is Mr. Arnold Raffone. His wife, Linda Raffone, will be escorted to the stage by student Favor Davies.
Arnold Raffone found his passion for helping others while he walked the halls of Port Richmond. He was a Beau Brummel, a section room officer, a marshal, and part of the varsity basketball team. He was also the head of a youth group at a Baptist church, as well as holding down a job repairing scows under the Brooklyn Bridge. In the class of 1960 yearbook, Mr. Raffone stated that his goal was to become a teacher, but he didn't stop there. After graduating from Port Richmond High School, he went to Seton Hall University. It was there where he met his loving wife Linda and continued to earn his bachelor's degree and his master's degree in history. His first teaching job was at the Egbert Junior High School in Midland Beach, where he also shared his love of basketball and began coaching.
Mr. Raffone always had a special place in his heart for all students, especially troubled students. He could never leave them disappointed.
In 1969, his team had a tournament game, and despite every effort to have someone cover for him, he had to be at the game. As soon as the game was over, he ran to the hospital for the birth of his son.
He established a work-study program for kids who were struggling. He connected with them and got them to study and graduate.
UAU is an after-school program where students can take part in sports, tutoring, and other activities to keep them and other students out of trouble and busy. United Activities Unlimited was a huge success and is used at most schools throughout Staten Island.
Mr. Raffone obtained his administration certifications from St. John's University and worked as an assistant principal at IS-72 and then principal at PS-50 and IS-51. Each school he went into, he would observe and give constructive feedback to the staff and students.
Mr. Raffone was a great guy. He was my principal throughout junior high school when I was in 51, and he recognized certain things, certain qualities in students that helped them on their way. And if it wasn't for him recognizing like what I liked to do as a kid, I don't know if my career would have even come into place. You know, he let people know they had potential.
In 2002, he moved to Pennsylvania to be closer to his daughter and family with the intention of retiring, but instead began a new job. He was offered a job as principal at the Reynolds Intermediate School, where he began an honor society and set up a graduation day ceremony. Mr. Raffone even bought caps and gowns for the students who could not afford them. He tried to retire again and was offered a role as the director of secondary education and mentored other teachers. He was the principal at several other schools at different times, such as DeHaan Middle School, Wheatley Middle School, and McCaskey High School. Mr. Raffone also worked as a consultant to the District of Wyomissing. Coach Raffone continued coaching basketball throughout his career and always looked out for the students who needed help by making a connection and making a difference. In recognition of his incredible work in education and mentoring, Arnold Raffone has been honored as an inductee into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame.
On behalf of myself, my daughter Tracy, and my son David, we would like to express our overwhelming gratitude for Arnie's induction into the Port Richmond High School 2024 Hall of Fame. Thank you to the Port Richmond High School Alumni Association, the nominating committee with a special nod to John Mulvey, Principal Andrew Greenfield, former Principal Tim Gannon, who launched the Hall of Fame inductions 15 years ago. Arnie would be so proud and honored to have his life's work recognized. He undeniably believed that being an educator and mentor was a vocation. He felt the weight of responsibility for every young life he has changed with molding and guiding. One of Arnie's greatest gifts was his ability to love other people's children as his own, and he delighted in every success story, especially from the most challenging students. He took exceptional satisfaction in helping at-risk students discover their innate worth and flourish. Later in his career, as an administrator and adjunct professor, Arnie used those same talents to create and mentor a generation of outstanding assistant principals and principals. Arnie has followed many a rising star with great pride, knowing that his legacy was far-reaching. Our family would also like to congratulate the fellow inductees. It is a great privilege to have Arnie included in your ranks. We wish you all considered success and blessings. Lastly, we would like to thank all of our extended family and friends and colleagues who have joined us tonight to help us honor and celebrate Arnie's contributions to the field of education. I am certain that Arnie is thrilled to know his love and influence has touched so many people. Our hearts are full. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Mr. Anthony Fanticola. He will be escorted to the stage by Virtual Enterprise students Cindy Sosa and Joshua Salazar.
Our third inductee is Anthony Fanticola, class of 1961. Anthony Fanticola was born at St. Vincent's Hospital on Staten Island and grew up in the Bull's Head area of Staten Island. He's the oldest of 3 siblings and grew up working at his parents' tailor shop, where he would defrost the pipes before going to school in the winter. He enjoyed playing baseball during his time at Port Richmond High School. He also enjoyed bowling and was coached by Miss Hanish. His wife Joanne was a fellow Raider. Mr. Fanticola graduated in 1961, and his first job was a receiving clerk at Save on Drugs on Richmond Avenue. Shortly after, he and Joanne got married. He worked his way up to the store manager at the Edison, New Jersey location. He continued up the corporate ladder and became a district manager. Through his dedication and his strong work ethic, Mr. Fanticola accepted the position as vice president of Kroger in 1978 and moved his family to Cincinnati, Ohio. He was instrumental in building up the non-food side of Kroger. In 1985, Mr. Fanticola accepted the position of vice president for Vons Supermarket in Southern California, once again moving his family. During his time as vice president for Vons Supermarket, he was responsible for an estimated $800 million in revenue. In 1989, Mr. Fanticola decided to put all his life savings into his first Jiffy Lube location in Pasadena, California. The business took off and was the first franchise to exceed $2 million in sales. He continued to reinvest into additional Jiffy Lube locations and expanded the business to the greater Los Angeles area, Tucson, Arizona, and Seattle, Washington. Mr. Fanticola blended his love for maintaining cars with his strong business instincts. Over his career, Mr. Fanticola has owned and operated over 250 Jiffy Lube locations on the West Coast and the Eastern New England region, where over 21 million customers have passed through the store doors. He still currently owns and operates 93 locations. In 2015, Mr. Fanticola purchased his first Taco Bell location in California. He currently owns all 19 Taco Bell locations in Southern California. Mr. Fanticola also worked with the Extra Space Storage Company and was instrumental in helping the company go public, and is still an active board member in the Extra Space Storage Company. In 2004, he rang the opening bell on the New York Stock Exchange and has served as the original independent board director for 12 years.
He's a great business leader and has reinvested so much money into his 60-plus properties.
Mr. Fanticola has built the Jiffy Lube and Taco Bell franchises along with his loving wife of over 55 years and his 4 children. His children began working with the Jiffy Lube company as teenagers, taking a turn in various positions in the company to gain experience. Currently, all of his children and his son-in-law run different sectors of the business and give back to the community. Mr. Fanticola has 10 grandchildren at various different colleges throughout the United States, and he enjoys horse racing and fishing. Mr. Fanticola has been racing horses for more than 15 years. His biggest win came when one of his thoroughbred horses named Fanticola won the Breeders' Cup in 2016, and many other smaller races and tourneys across the country. The Breeders' Cup is a prestigious award signifying an international horse racing champion and is chosen in a 2-day event.
We hope to see more alumni such as Mr. Fanticola making an impact on the school and the community.
We at Port Richmond are glad to have Mr. Fanticola as an inspiring individual in our Hall of Fame.
Wow. Jeez, where did you get all that information from? I gotta tell you, that's overwhelming. This really feels good. I'm gonna tell you something. I would like, first of all, to thank the committee for finding me. I don't know how they found me, but and they got all this information. They're good research people. I want to thank Suzanne and Barry O'Brien for today's. They allowed me to work with about an hour and a half with the marketing group, young people. They were really good. I mean, I'm inspired when I see young entrepreneur people with fire in their belly, like this, the pizza company, New York City Pizza Company. You know, and you guys got into a $46 billion and you won New York City and went to the state finals at Jacob Jabba Center. I said, you guys are way better than I am, you know. I'm also very honored to be in the group of these, the judge and the colonel and Arnie Raffone. I went to school with Arnie. He was one of the smart ones. And an athlete. He had it all. It was wonderful even knowing him, along with John Woodman. Two great individuals. I wish they were here. I was looking forward to meeting them, actually, and until I heard the news. But he's got a wonderful family there, by the way, Raffones. You could be very proud of them. When I walked these halls back in the late 50s, I tell you, I couldn't imagine having the financial position of having my family live in Newport Beach, California. I wake up every morning, look at the ocean and the harbor, and compared to living next door to Danino's, my bedroom was 3 feet from the jukebox. So that's how I know all the 50s and 60s music. I subliminally listened during the night. I couldn't sleep without the jukebox being on. So it was wonderful. Matter of fact, I'm going tonight there, by the way. They're like family. They're really wonderful. But this would have never all happened without my wife, Joanne Lorenzano. She was the best. The support and loyalty she gave me is the reason why I'm standing here. I want to thank the family for coming tonight. You guys came a long way to see this. And my daughter traveled with me from California, and make sure you take pictures so the other kids can see this happened. You know, this really happened. You got it, Melissa? Thank you. But I have a motto for all the young people that I took out. I think it was Ronald Reagan that said this, and I've been following it for years, that there's no telling how far a man or a woman can do if they're willing to give someone else the credit. It's not really humanly sitting right with people to do that, but when you do that with fire in your belly and have work ethics, no matter what you do, you can succeed. Because you're looking at the American dream in this wonderful country. I'm really part of it. But thank you all for really sharing this with me. This is wonderful.
Our next inductee is the Honorable Ronald A. Gregg, who will be escorted to the stage by student Frank Bellotti.
While attending Port Richmond High School, Ronald Gregg was a part of the track team, the drama club, the orchestra, the band, and was the vice president of the Soul Club. Mr. Gregg was constantly drawing, and he drew so well that he was awarded the Mayor's Scholarship upon graduation in 1969. This scholarship brought him into the Fashion Institute of Technology, where he earned his associate's degree. From there, Mr. Gregg went to Buffalo State for his bachelor degree in art. Mr. Gregg's entire career began in art. He even met Stan Lee, the creator of Marvel Comics, who encouraged him to continue drawing.
Mr. Gregg's ultimate goal was to become a forensic artist, which inspired him to join the New York Police Department in the early 1970s.
From 1982 to 1985, Mr. Gregg was the Assistant General Counsel for the NAACP. He met former Mayor David Dinkins and was asked to help run his campaign in Staten Island. In 1989, Mr. Gregg founded his law firm, Gregg & Associates. For over 30 years, they have passionately advocated for their clients in all areas of law, including criminal and civil cases, medical malpractice, civil rights, and entertainment law in federal and state courts. While managing his law firm, Mr. Gregg received his judicial administration certification and was appointed by former Governor Pataki in a judge position. Judge Gregg presided over a variety of cases throughout his career and had a position in senior administrative law judge for New York State Division on Human Rights before his retirement in 2007. Judge Gregg is admitted to the United States Supreme Court Bar, which is one of the highest honors given to a small percentage of lawyers. Judge Gregg is married to his loving wife Daisy, and they have 2 sons. He is currently a doctoral candidate of criminal justice and law. Judge Gregg's focus is to make an imprint not just for the moment, but also for the black community of Staten Island for the future. Mr. Gregg's adage is, each individual has to make a determined effort to do what they can to be a mentor or a leader in their community. It allows you to look back
from where you came from and show young people that they too can also achieve success. In recognition of his substantial work in law as well as his dedicated work in community, Judge Ronald A. Gregg has been honored as an inductee into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame.
Wow, that's an impressive introduction, even for me to say. After seeing all that, I'm very impressed with your audiovisual department. Good evening, everyone. Principal Greenfield, elected officials, family, guests, and other persons of honor, but most of all, to my fellow inductees. It is indeed an honor to be standing here tonight in these hollow halls of Port Richmond High School. Although many of us have, and some do not have, great memories of being in this institution. And unfortunately, I remember it somewhat differently. Yes, I was into sports. I played in the band. I was in the drama club. I was the head or vice president of the Soul Club, but my main passion was art. However, I also remember a particular guidance counselor that said to me, I think you should go into a technical trade. I don't think you're suited for an academic career. And then I also remember the revered Bob Matthews, the basketball coach who told me after he cut me from practice on the basketball team tryouts, he said, "Kid, you will never be a basketball player." Well, these are type of things that resonate very, very large in a 16, 17-year-old kid. And I remember going home, walking down from the Toad Hill houses to the big park. Shout out to Bruce Dotts and Mitchell Goteski, class of '69, who lived in Toad Hill with me. There was one individual, his name was Chris Igneri. Chris Igneri was one or two mentors that I had. Chris saw me sitting in the big park. He said, what's wrong, kid? He saw that I was somewhat depressed. And I told him, hey, I was cut from the basketball team. They told me I would never be able to play basketball. He said, listen, kid, I will work with you the entire summer to get you up to speed. He said, you may not get on the team, but you will get a better sense of basketball. So that entire summer, I worked with Chris. Lo and behold, I graduated from Port Richmond with a certification from the mayor's office in fine arts. And with that, I was able to go to FIT. Lo and behold, in FIT, my second mentor stepped up. Both of these individuals were non-African Americans, but they did see something in me. They saw that an individual had hope and promise. And the second individual was Raul Nasenovich. He happened to be the head of the phys ed department in FIT, and also the coach. And he saw me in the gym playing, and he said, you should try out for our team. Remembering what experience I had in Port Richmond, saying, nah, he said, look, try out. I see something in you. Try out. So I did. I took a leap of faith. I tried out for the team, and lo and behold, I was selected. The FIT Tigers, not only did I get a sense and a boost in my confidence, but I also had a sense of purpose. Now I wanted to do the best that I could in everything. And the FIT Tigers in 1971 went to the National Junior Collegiate Athletic Association's championship in Austin, Texas. We lost, but we went there. And from that point, I received a partial scholarship to from FIT to Buff State. From Buff State, I went on to the College of Staten Island, to law school, and currently, as my bio would say, I am a candidate for my doctoral degree, except, thank you, except last week I was awarded my Doctor of Law. So one of the things, thank you. One of the things I really want to mention is that mentorship has been a crucial point in my life. It has fostered my desire to get things done. It has given me growth and success. And graduating from Port Richmond High School, as an individual who needed some type of motivation, who found it in a mentorship, I have navigated the system to try to help and reach back to others and bring them into a successful career. After being rebuffed by the famous Bob Matthews, I found that training and self-determination can only be imbued in you by yourself and others that motivate you. After several offers for careers, I did join the NAACP as their assistant general counsel. And one of the things that I found with that is that the NAACP has always tried to mentor and reach back into the black community. But that is not it. I also helped find and establish through David Dinkins a sense of purpose in Staten Island. It was through David Dinkins that I helped him with his career run in Staten Island, that when he was successfully elected as the mayor of New York City, he awarded me with a position as Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Correction. These are career goals and career findings that were not done by myself. Yes, I had a desire. Yes, I had the talents, but I had mentorship. Soon thereafter, I found mentors in Dave Dinkins, Basil Patterson, Charles West. I also found support in family members, support in school, support in the community. I want to thank my homeroom teacher who was here, Kendall Carroll, Janine Spadafora, and Mr. Cohen, who was the head of the art department. After I graduated, I also found support with my family. My family is here. My wife, Dee, my two sons, Ronald and Remington. Unfortunately, they messed up the picture. They showed Remington twice, but Ronald is here also. But I also want to thank Andrea Childs, who was a support to me as I left Port Richmond, going on to Buff State and the College of Staten Island. My mentors taught me that failure is not an end, but a stepping stone towards more significant achievements, and that it is essential to learn from our mistakes and to keep moving. In conclusion, I want to leave you with a Chinese proverb. It says, "The man who blames others has a long way to go. The man who blames himself is halfway there. But the man who blames no one has already arrived." With that, I extend to the community, Port Richmond High School, show how mentorship can work for you. Mentorship has been instrumental in the growth and my success throughout Port Richmond and beyond. And through determination, hard work, and the support of your family and your God, with unwavering faith, you can achieve your dreams. Part of those dreams are vested in your past. Port Richmond High School is a past of mine. It is a dream come true for this Hall of Fame. And I thank the principal, the members of the committee, and everyone here for this great honor. Thank you.
Our final inductee tonight is Dr. Henry Habib. I would like to invite Dr. Habib to the stage, escorted by student Hector Neary.
Dr. Henry Habib was an all-around student during his time here at Port Richmond High School.
He was involved in many school activities, some being co-captain of the junior varsity football team from 1975 to 1976, vice president of the senior class, Arista, consultative council, and co-captain of the varsity football team from 1977 to 1978. Dr. Habib received the Outstanding Student Athlete Award in 1978. Upon graduating in 1978, Dr. Habib went on to Rutgers University College of Pharmacy, where he earned his bachelor's degree in pharmacology. At Rutgers, he was president of the Arab Students Organization. Dr. Habib then attended New York College of Pediatric Medicine and in 1987 received his Doctor of Pediatric Medicine degree. Dr. Habib changed venues and completed his residency and training at the VA Medical Center in Miami, Florida in pediatric medicine and surgery.
Dr. Habib came back to Staten Island in 1989 and worked as a pharmacist at the Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital while working at the South Shore Podiatry Associates as a podiatrist.
In 1998, Dr. Habib moved to Advantage Care Physicians, where he is currently the chairman of podiatry, overseeing 19 doctors throughout New York City. He is also the podiatry section chief, Department of Surgery at Richmond University Medical Center. Dr. Habib has always been proud of his Arab American culture and was part of the committee that established the first Arab American Heritage Week in New York City under Mayor Bloomberg. In addition, Dr. Habib was part of the committee which helped create the Khalil Gibran International Academy in Brooklyn, as well as the Lebanese Heritage Committee, which holds yearly events at Brooklyn Borough Hall. Dr. Habib organized and ran many health affairs for the Arab American community throughout New York City.
Dr. Habib was invited to attend an ABC special called Answering the Children with his family following the 9/11 attacks to discuss how children were dealing with the events surrounding 9/11.
This special was hosted by Peter Jennings and civil rights leader Reverend Calvin Butts. Dr. Habib is married to Dr. Claudia Habib and father to Michael, Daniel, Samuel, and Gloria. Throughout his career, Dr. Habib has been a part of many organizations including the St. Nicholas Parish Council, the Advisory Board of the Network of Arab American Professionals, Board of Directors for the St. Nicholas Adult Home, President of the New York Chapter of Arab American Medical Association, as well as on the Board of Directors for the Arab American Family Support Center in Brooklyn. In 2014, Dr. Habib was the chairman for a fundraising gala called Making a Difference, which raised $45,000 in Syrian refugees. Dr. Habib also served as the Master of Ceremonies in 2023 for the Khalil Gibran Returns to New York After 100 Years exhibit at the United Nations. The exhibit showcased paintings, notebooks, and manuscripts from the first edition of The Prophet. Dr. Habib has received many awards for his service, including the Community Service Award from the Arab American Association of New York in 2004, and Man of the Year from the Salam Club in New York in 2017.
In recognition of his extensive work in medicine, as well as his service to the community, Dr. Henry Habib has been honored as an inductee into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's hard to follow Judge Gregg after his beautiful talk. It's an honor and a privilege to be invited back to Port Richmond High School as an inductee to the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame, and to be with such a privileged crowd of inductees. I have very fond memories and forged friendships at Port Richmond, which still have to this day. I'd like to congratulate all the former, I'd like to congratulate the honorees for this evening. I also like to thank Principal Andrew Greenfield, Ed Matei, and Joe Krasinski, and the Alumni Committee for having me. And thank you, Claudia Shannon, for all the work you did for everything. I'd like to acknowledge a few individuals who meant a lot to me during my time at Port Richmond. One was the principal, Herbert Baelish, who's also an inductee in the Hall of Fame. Bob Matthews was also involved with the athletic department. Coach Nick Bellotti was my coach for 4 years at
on the football team. My chemistry teacher, Michael Mamet, and also my French teacher and college advisor, Mr. Joel Eisen. As you see, I did a lot of work within the Arab American community. As far as myself is concerned, I'm a second-generation American of Lebanese origin. My grandparents immigrated in around 1910 to flee civil strife in the Middle East at that time. They came here basically with nothing. I remember my great-grandfather, actually I don't remember, but when I read through MyHeritage, some of these websites, my great-grandfather was a peddler. He used to go door to door selling clothes or whatever. And my grandmother, I remember working in a factory in Brooklyn, sewing dresses. My parents were, did a little bit better than they did. My mother, she worked for the American Cancer Society as the executive director on Staten Island, and my father worked at Dean Witter Reynolds for 40 years as a vice president. Still, they weren't really educated. They never went to college or graduated from college. I was the first one in my family who actually went to college and graduated. We had other relatives who went but never graduated. So this is the American dream. You come to the United States, you do well, and you work hard. I'd like to, thank my parents, who are both deceased at this time, but my mom especially. She instilled in me the love of God and volunteerism and the need to give back to the community. God gave each one of us a talent. Whether you're a doctor, a mechanic, a judge, entrepreneur, we all have something to give back to society. And it's very important that, especially the young people, you find out what you want to do with your life, but never give up. It's really a tough world out there. I think it's a lot tougher now than when I graduated in 1978. Education, you heard this before, education, diligence, and perseverance. Sometimes you might fall down, just get right back up on the horse and continue going, and you will succeed. I'd like to thank my lovely wife, Claudia, who's here this evening. I love you. You're my inspiration and my support. My son, Michael, is here with his lovely daughter, Leanna. My son, Daniel, and my son, Samuel, and my beautiful and my daughter, Gloria, who really is my true inspiration. My daughter, at the age of 2, developed leukemia, and she relapsed, 3 times over the next 8 or 9 years, and we went through a lot from hospital to hospital, but with the love of God and the health professionals, she's in a good place right now. She's in remission. We celebrated 5 years. She celebrated 5 years in remission this past Sunday. So God bless you, Gloria, and everybody. And to all the students from Port Richmond, I just want to say good luck with everything. It's great being back. I wish I came back sooner. I have one question, though, from Mr. Greenfield. Back when I was on the football team in 1978, they issued me a player's pass. And that's what I want to know. Could I still get into the games? You got it. Okay. I saved it, So, and one last thing, when I dropped off the pictures and photos and everything to Shannon, and I went to the office, and some of the workers in the office said, "Oh, you still have all this stuff?" And I go, yeah. My wife calls me a hoarder, so I basically saved everything from high school. So, but thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and I appreciate it.
Hello,
Hello there. So I'm the current president of the association. I've been with the association about 20 years, at least. Wow. This is 15 years we're doing this, and when we started it, there wasn't any names on that wall, and we really weren't sure how were we going to fill that wall. And I have to tell you, every year when we sit down to pick names, there's actually so many more names we want to put up there, because this school has produced some incredible people. And I want to speak especially to the young people here today. One day you may find yourself on that wall. Just keep doing what you're doing. Port Richmond is the spark. Keep it going. Keep it going. So this is the part of the ceremony where we formally induct the nominees, not the nominees, where they're formally going to be put up in perpetuity on our Hall of Fame walls. So we ask the inductees and their representatives to stand while I make the proclamation. So if you could stand right now. All right, so here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, as representative of the Port Richmond High School Alumni Association, I am honored to present the 2024 inductees for the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame. These inductees represent the very best values and traditions of our great school. Your lifetime accomplishments, contributions to our local and global community, and strong values bring honor and great distinction to our school. It is with great pride that I honor you now and forever by officially proclaiming you as members of the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
At this time, you are all invited to the unveiling of the Hall of Fame wall. You are also invited to a catered reception provided by our Culinary Arts Department. We have an award-winning culinary arts program. Last month, we competed in the Walt Disney World Cook Around the World culinary arts competition hosted by Chef Jeff Tila, and we came home highly decorated. Thank you to Mr. Ryan, Ms. Keck, and Mr. Mulvey for the food and drink provided tonight. Please exit the back of the auditorium and follow the hallway to the Hall of Fame wall.
My pleasure to unveil the class of 2024 Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame.